Hello everyone, Evan&AudreyS here, and guess what? We've made it. We've made it to the summer of 2023. In other words, the end of Movie Criticism Season 3. And you know what that means? Yep! It's time to go on and count down my picks for the top 5 best and worst of the season. Yep. Now, last year I did an award ceremony to count them down for last season, but A, I don't have enough time to do that again this year, and B, uh, I want to see what you guys think of this format, and then release a poll in the description of this video to decide which one you like better. Okay? Now, before we get started, a few rules to keep in mind for what counts. First of all, the movie has to be released during the time period of Movie Criticism Season 3's original release date, and that is from between last September to the end of the spring, spring 2023. Secondly, I don't have to have reviewed it on my channel for it to count. I just have to have seen it and given it a proper score and grade. Lastly, it doesn't matter where the film comes from and where it's released. Theaters, streaming, they both count. With that said, let's switch framing and begin this countdown. Starting out with my picks for the top 5 worst movies of Movie Criticism Season 3. Starting out this worst list at number 5 is the Pinocchio live-action remake with Tom Hanks. What can I say about this that any other recent Disney live-action remake has not? It's a cash grab. What else could it be? So on a little side note, I do think that in rare cases, cash grabs can be good, but very rarely not. And I'll get to that in my best list, spoiler warning. But anyway, this is an unnecessary remake that a lot of times the changes made to it woefully harm the story and make it worse. Although some of the changes do help and make it more interesting, but does this really warrant a place and make it still necessary in the first place? I don't think so. Sure, Tom Hanks is decent as Geppetto, he's okay, but just stop, Disney, just stop. You know what I love? A decent comic book movie from the DCEU. Well, I got some of that at some points, but not with this one, Black Adam. The main problem with this, like I said in my review, is that the main character, Black Adam, lacks a lot. The movie tries to make him funny, a little deadpan style of comedy in him through his serious and stoic nature. But the charisma and personality just isn't clear enough there, and it kind of really lacks it in some places, making him a very boring character to watch. Even when you put that aside, this is a very standard and generic superhero movie at the end of the day. And it has some other characters that are either unlikable or annoying or just boring. Even Dwayne Johnson in the role of Black Adam, in as charismatic as he is, cannot save this movie. Yep, another Disney live-action remake is on my worst list. Just much like Pinocchio, the Little Mermaid remake is yet another cash grab, and proves that Disney doesn't give a crap about making good quality original stuff, and they don't like taking risks. Sure, Halle Bailey is excellent in the role of Ariel, but once again, the changes, even more so of the changes in here, harm the story and make it seem a little stupid at times. So, of course, it's going to be on my worst list. And fun fact, my sister Audrey, when she was in a day camp, she wanted to have her friends go see this movie, and I'm glad she did not, and I would have preferred her to watch the original on a projector instead. The Super Mario Bros. Movie had the potential to shake up Illumination Entertainment, the studio behind the Despicable Me franchise and Minions franchise, most famously. They had the potential to shake up their reputation as from poor to at least decent. But I don't think it really succeeded. This is a very unsatisfying movie-going experience, and Chris Pratt is woefully miscast as the voice of Mario. I think this would only be able to please die-hard video game fans and people like that. But otherwise, I don't think it's really that good. Alright, here it is. The biggest scam of this season. And that is Strange World, yeah. Which is quite possibly one of the worst Disney anime movies, or the worst Disney animated movie I've seen in a long time. This movie is so mediocre and average, even below average at best, or no, at worst, and has really unearned character development and payoff, annoying and unlikable main characters, and a pretty, once again, unsatisfying movie experience. It really stings because the teaser trailer looked really fresh, original, and self-aware, but the movie itself turned out to be quite the opposite. It has so many cliches, and it seems to be one big lie. I advise you avoid Strange World at all costs, because it's not worth it, and this is the worst movie I've seen this season. Okay, now on to my picks for the top 5 favorite movies of the season. You know, I really dug The Fabelmans from Steven Spielberg. Now, I know there are loads of movies out there that talk about filmmaking for aspiring filmmakers, like myself included. But I actually think Fabelmans displays the journey of a fictional filmmaker, aspiring one, in the most accurate we've seen yet, or at least I've seen. But aside from that, it's pretty entertaining. It has pretty entertaining side characters, and it's pretty inspiring. I also like that it doesn't just focus on the filmmaking aspect. The reason it's so accurate of the journey of the arc of a filmmaker is because it doesn't just focus on the filmmaking, but also other aspects of the character's life, like the drama, the family relationships, and other stuff like that. If you are an aspiring filmmaker, then I advise you check out The Fabelmans. You know what I really enjoy? Animation. It's possibly more limitless in the filmmaking industry than live action, because unlike live action, there is no limitations to animation at all. Except for continuity-wise. But anyway, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is really outstanding of a Netflix original movie. Del Toro really has a talent for animation and respect for it. And you could tell that in every frame of the movie, from the detail, the depth, and the fluidity of the movement. But even if you put that aside, even if that's not enough to impress you, the movie does tackle on quite a few surprisingly mature and thought-provoking things for a kids' movie, like immortality, grief, and second chances. And it's kind of funny that another Pinocchio adaptation, the other one this year, while one got on my worst list, the other ended up on my best list. This is the Pinocchio you need to see. Next up is the follow-up and semi-sequel to Knives Out by Rian Johnson, Glass Onion. Much like the first film, Knives Out, Glass Onion has a really well thought out mystery that's really smart and massively drip feeds stuff clues to the audience in a really earned and natural way that both surprises but also makes sense. The actors are very charismatic and full of energy, and Rian Johnson's cinematography is really great. My only problem with it is that it does have a kind of boring first half, But the movie, you instantly forget about that boring first half when the mystery starts in the start of the second half. So, yeah. And for those who cannot are Star Wars fans and cannot forgive Rian Johnson for The Last Jedi, then you need to watch this film because I think he's just as very talented and he's not incompetent. Now, my number two for this best countdown may surprise a few people, quite a few people actually, but I'm gonna place A Christmas Story Christmas at this spot. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but I think it's pretty good film for what it is. I know some people think it's kind of weird that now grown-up Ralphie is still acting childish and innocent, but I think the movie does a pretty good job at growing him up, but also keeping him at the same time. Ralphie can be a little mature at times and grown up, but it's not always consistent, but not in a bad way. And besides, we've seen a lot of movies, especially holiday ones, that have man-childs. I mean, look at Elf. But anyway, this movie is just as decent and charming as the original classic film. And it does have just a lot of callbacks that some of them are actually touching for me. So, of course, I think I should watch this film. No, you should watch this film. Because if you love Christmas Story, this probably won't disappoint you. Okay, we finally made it to my number one favorite movie of this season, and that is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. That's correct. This is it. And this is actually the only movie that came out this season that I gave an A+ grade. Yeah. And now remember when I said earlier that cash grabs can be good? Well, this is one of those rare examples. Because, now, yeah, it's still a cash grab. Even though it's a great movie, it's still a cash grab. But unlike most cash grabs, this movie actually puts in some effort and tries to be a good story. And it succeeds. The movie has great characters, excellent animation, and 3 of the best type of villain tropes ever put to animation screen. So this is exactly why Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is my favorite movie of this season. What a surprise. Well, that about wraps up the top 5 best and the top 5 worst of Movie Criticism Season 3. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then feel free to like, subscribe, and or share. And remember, I would really like it if you take part in the poll in the description box below of which format of countdown you prefer. Do you like this format or do you like the awards format better? So that I can set a standard. With that said, I'm Evan&AudreyS signing out. Peace, and I'll see you for Movie Criticism Season 4.